What if I told you that the most powerful battles you'll ever fight aren't against the world outside, but inside your own mind? Imagine this. Every decision you make, every relationship you build, every dream you chase, shaped by invisible forces you rarely notice. Psychology isn't just about therapy rooms or textbooks. It's the hidden script running beneath your everyday life. Why do we sabotage ourselves when success is within reach? Why do we crave connection, yet fear vulnerability? And why does the brain sometimes act like both our greatest ally and our fiercest enemy? Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on the human mind, not with dry lectures, but with stories, insights, and revelations that will make you see yourself in a whole new light. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover might just change the way you think, forever. Before we dive in, hit that like button. If you're curious about the mind, subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive. And share this with someone who loves thought-provoking content. Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? And what's one question about human behavior you've always wanted answered? Let's make this a global conversation. Have you ever paused mid-decision and wondered, wait, why did I choose that? Most of the time, we don't. We move through life on autopilot, guided by invisible scripts written deep in our subconscious. These scripts are stitched together from childhood experiences, cultural expectations, and even fleeting moments we barely remember. Think of them like background music in a film. You don't notice it directly, but it shapes how every scene feels. The way you react to criticism, the kind of people you're drawn to, even the goals you set for yourself. So much of it is influenced by patterns you didn't consciously design. And here's the twist. These hidden scripts can be both empowering and limiting. They can push you toward resilience, or quietly sabotage your confidence without you realizing. Isn't it fascinating that the mind can be both author and actor in the same story? But here's where things get even more intriguing. Once you start noticing these unconscious patterns, you gain the power to rewrite them. Imagine realizing that your tendency to procrastinate isn't laziness, but a script formed from fear of failure, or that your drive to overachieve isn't pure ambition, but a script whispering that you're only worthy if you're perfect. Suddenly, the invisible becomes visible, and visibility is the first step toward change. Psychology teaches us that awareness cracks open the door, but courage is what lets us walk through it. So the question becomes, are you willing to challenge the script you've been living by? Because the moment you do, you stop being a passive character in your own life and start becoming the author.
Fear is one of the oldest survival tools we carry within us. Long before skyscrapers and smartphones, fear kept our ancestors alive, alerting them to predators, dangerous terrain, or hostile tribes.
It's the body's built-in alarm system, flooding us with adrenaline, sharpening our senses, and preparing us to fight or flee. But here's the paradox. The same mechanism that once saved lives can now hold us hostage. In modern times, fear often disguises itself as hesitation, self-doubt, or avoidance. We fear rejection, failure, embarrassment, things that won't physically harm us, yet feel just as threatening to our sense of identity. Have you ever noticed how fear whispers louder right when you're about to take a leap forward? That's because the brain interprets uncertainty as danger, even when opportunity is knocking. And yet, fear isn't the enemy, it's information. It tells us where our edges are, where growth begins. The key is learning to decode it, rather than obey it blindly. Imagine standing at the edge of a stage, heart racing, palms sweating. That fear isn't saying, don't do it. It's saying, this matters. When we reframe fear as a signal of importance rather than a stop sign, it transforms from a cage into a compass. Psychology shows that exposure, facing fear in small, manageable doses, rewires the brain to see challenges as less threatening. Each time you confront fear, you teach your mind a new story, that you can survive discomfort and even thrive in it. So the real question becomes, What would your life look like if you stopped treating fear as a wall and started seeing it as a doorway? Every day, without even realizing it, we live inside a web of habits. From the way you brush your teeth to the route you take to work, habits are the brain's way of conserving energy. Think of them as shortcuts, automatic routines that free up mental space for bigger decisions. Neuroscience shows that habits form through a loop: cue, routine, reward. A cue triggers the behavior, the routine is the action itself, and the reward reinforces it. For example, the smell of coffee, cue, leads you to brew a cup, routine, and the satisfaction of that first sip, reward, makes you want to repeat it tomorrow. The fascinating part? Once a habit is wired into your brain, it doesn't disappear. It just waits, ready to be activated. That's why breaking a bad habit feels so hard. You're not erasing it. You're overriding it with something new. But here's the empowering truth. Habits can be redesigned. The same loop that locks in unhealthy routines can be hacked to build positive ones. Want to exercise more? Pair the cue with something you already do, like putting your running shoes next to your bed, so they're the first thing you see in the morning. The routine follows, and the reward might be the rush of endorphins, or even a small treat afterward. Over time, repetition rewires the brain, turning effort into autopilot. Psychology reminds us that willpower alone isn't enough. Structure and environment are the real architects of change. So the next time you catch yourself stuck in a cycle, ask, what's the cue, what's the reward, and how can I swap the routine? Because once you master the science of habits, you're not just changing behaviors, you're reshaping the very rhythm of your life. Every interaction you have is more than just words exchanged. It's a reflection of who you are. Psychologists often describe relationships as mirrors because the way others respond to us reveals hidden aspects of our inner world. Think about it. When someone praises your kindness, they're holding up a mirror to a trait you might overlook. When conflict arises, it often exposes insecurities or unresolved patterns you carry within. This is why relationships feel so powerful. They don't just connect us, they shape us. From childhood, the feedback we receive from parents, teachers, and peers becomes part of our identity. If you were told you were the responsible one, chances are you still carry that role today. The social mirror doesn't just show us who we are, it subtly nudges us toward who we believe we should be. But here's the fascinating twist. Mirrors can distort. Just as a funhouse mirror stretches or shrinks your reflection, the social mirror can exaggerate certain traits or hide others. Toxic relationships might convince you that you're unworthy, while supportive ones can help you see strengths you never recognized. The key is learning to discern which reflections are accurate and which are warped. Psychology suggests that self-awareness grows when we balance external feedback with internal truth. In other words, listen to the mirror, but don't let it define you entirely. Ask yourself, does this reflection align with who I truly am, or is it someone else's projection? When you start questioning the mirror, you reclaim the power to shape your own identity. And that's when relationships stop being cages and start becoming catalysts for growth. Beliefs are like invisible architects. They design the framework of our reality long before we notice the walls being built. If you believe you're capable, you'll approach challenges with confidence. If you believe you're doomed to fail, you'll hesitate before you even begin. Psychologists call this the self-fulfilling prophecy, where expectations quietly shape outcomes. Think of a student convinced they're bad at math. That belief leads to less effort, more anxiety, and eventually poor results, confirming the original thought. But the opposite is just as true. Belief in possibility fuels persistence, creativity, and resilience. It's not magic, it's mindset. The brain filters information through belief, highlighting what matches and discarding what doesn't. That's why two people can face the same situation and walk away with completely different interpretations. Here's the empowering part. Beliefs aren't fixed. They're stories we tell ourselves, and stories can be rewritten. Imagine shifting from "I'm not good enough" to "I'm learning and improving." That single change alters how you act, how you feel, and how others respond to you. Research shows that belief in growth, often called a growth mindset, dramatically increases achievement and satisfaction. It's like swapping out a lens that distorts reality for one that sharpens it. Of course, rewriting beliefs takes practice. It means catching the old narrative mid-sentence and replacing it with a new one. But once you start, the ripple effect is profound. Suddenly, opportunities appear where you once saw obstacles, and setbacks become lessons instead of verdicts. So ask yourself, what beliefs are shaping your life right now, and which ones are ready to be rewritten? Motivation is often celebrated as the spark that drives achievement, but like fire, it can burn out of control. At its best, motivation pushes us to chase goals, overcome obstacles, and reach heights we never imagined. Yet beneath the surface lies a darker truth. The same drive that fuels success can also lead to exhaustion, obsession, and even self-destruction. Think of the athlete who trains past the point of injury, or the entrepreneur who sacrifices health and relationships for the sake of ambition. What begins as passion can morph into pressure, and pressure into burnout. Psychology explains this through the concept of over-justification, when external rewards or relentless pursuit overshadow intrinsic joy. Suddenly, the thing you loved becomes a burden, and the fire that once lit your path starts consuming you instead. But here's the twist. Recognizing the dark side doesn't mean rejecting motivation. It means learning to balance it. True sustainable drive comes from aligning ambition with well-being, not against it. When we pause to ask, why am I chasing this? We uncover whether our motivation is rooted in genuine purpose or fear of inadequacy. Studies show that people who connect their goals to deeper values, like growth, contribution, or meaning, are less likely to burn out than those chasing status or validation. It's not about slowing down. It's about pacing yourself, so the journey doesn't destroy the destination. So the next time motivation surges, ask yourself, is this fire lighting the way forward, or is it quietly burning me from within? That awareness is what transforms ambition from a dangerous obsession into a powerful, sustainable force. Emotions often feel like unpredictable waves, sometimes gentle, sometimes overwhelming. But beneath the surface, they're signals designed to guide us. Joy tells us we're aligned with something meaningful. Anger alerts us to boundaries being crossed, and sadness points toward loss or unmet needs. Yet most of us grow up believing emotions are problems to be suppressed, rather than messages to be decoded. Think of emotions as the dashboard lights of your mind. When a light flashes, it's not the car failing. It's information about what needs attention. The challenge is that emotions rarely speak in plain language. Anxiety might mask fear of rejection, while irritability could hide exhaustion. By learning to pause and ask, what is this feeling trying to tell me? We shift from being controlled by emotions to being guided by them. And here's the fascinating part. Emotions aren't isolated, they're contagious. Walk into a room where everyone is tense, and you'll feel it instantly. This is because of mirror neurons, the brain's way of syncing with others' emotional states. It's why laughter spreads, why empathy connects, and why negativity can drain us. Understanding this puzzle means realizing emotions are both personal and social. They shape not only how we experience life, but how we influence the lives around us. Psychology teaches that emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, interpret, and manage emotions, is one of the strongest predictors of success and well-being. So instead of resisting emotions, imagine embracing them as clues, as teachers. Because once you learn to read the puzzle, emotions stop being storms to endure and become maps pointing you toward growth, connection, and clarity. From the moment we wake up, we crave control over our schedules, our relationships, even the tiny details of our day. It gives us a sense of safety, a belief that if we can just manage everything, life will unfold exactly as we planned. But psychology reveals a sobering truth. Much of what we think we control is an illusion. Weather changes, people act unpredictably, opportunities appear and vanish without warning. The brain, however, hates uncertainty, so it clings to routines and plans as if they were shields against chaos. That's why we feel anxious when things don't go our way, because the illusion of control has cracked. Have you ever noticed how even small disruptions, like traffic delays or a cancelled meeting, can throw off your mood? It's not the event itself, it's the loss of perceived control. And yet, here's the paradox. Letting go of control often brings more peace than clinging to it. When we accept that uncertainty is part of life, we stop wasting energy fighting battles we can't win. Psychologists call this locus of control, whether we believe outcomes depend on us, internal, or on external forces. The healthiest mindset blends both, taking responsibility for what we can influence while releasing what we can't. Imagine approaching life like a surfer, riding the waves instead of trying to command the ocean. Suddenly, setbacks become part of the rhythm, not personal failures. The illusion of control dissolves, and in its place comes freedom. The freedom to adapt, to grow, and to find calm even in the unpredictable. So the real question is, are you willing to loosen your grip and trust the flow? Because sometimes, surrender is the most powerful form of control. At the core of being human lies a simple truth. We are wired for connection. From the moment we're born, our survival depends on the bonds we form, first with caregivers, then with friends, partners, and communities. Psychology shows that belonging isn't just a nice bonus. It's a fundamental need, as essential as food or shelter. When we feel connected, our brains release oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, which fosters trust and reduces stress. That's why a heartfelt conversation or a supportive hug can feel like medicine. But when connection is missing, loneliness creeps in, and studies reveal it can be as harmful to health as smoking or obesity. Isn't it striking that something invisible, human connection, can shape both our emotional resilience and physical well-being? Yet connection isn't only about quantity, it's about quality. You can be surrounded by people and still feel isolated if those relationships lack depth. True connection requires vulnerability, the courage to be seen as you are, not as you pretend to be. It's in those moments of honesty that bonds strengthen, creating a sense of safety and belonging. And here's the fascinating twist. When we connect deeply with others, we also connect more deeply with ourselves. Relationships act like mirrors, reflecting back our values, fears, and strengths. So the psychology of connection isn't just about building friendships. It's about building identity. The more authentically we connect, the more whole we become. Which leaves us with a powerful question. Are we nurturing connections that feed our spirit, or settling for ones that leave us hungry? Every life is a story, but here's the catch. Most of us don't realize we're the ones holding the pen. We inherit narratives from family, culture, and past experiences. Scripts that tell us who we are and what we're capable of. Maybe you've been carrying the belief that you're not creative or that you're bad with relationships, simply because someone once said it and you accepted it as truth. These stories become the lens through which we see ourselves, shaping decisions and limiting possibilities. But psychology reminds us that identity isn't fixed, it's fluid. Just as authors revise drafts, we can revise the narratives we live by. Imagine recognizing that the chapter labeled failure was actually a lesson, or that the role you thought was permanent, the shy one, the underachiever, was only a subplot, not the whole book. Isn't it liberating to realize your story is still being written? And here's the transformative part. Rewriting your story doesn't mean erasing the past. It means reframing it. Every setback can be recast as resilience. Every heartbreak as proof of your capacity to love. Every mistake as evidence of growth. Psychologists call this narrative therapy, where shifting the meaning of events changes how they live inside us. When you begin to tell yourself a new story, one of strength, possibility, and agency, you start acting in alignment with it, The brain follows the script you feed it, and over time, that script becomes reality. So ask yourself, what story do you want to live from this moment forward? Because the truth is, you're not just the main character, you're the author. And the next chapter is waiting for you to write it with intention, courage, and clarity.